Mom's a veterinarian, dad's a body shop owner, and I love dogs, but I really was more pro business when it came to cars. I got a company credit card, a Pontiac Grand Prix with a Starlight 4 in it, and I had the western half of the United States, which happened to include
Oh,
Ohio, putting me out there with a red car and a company credit card at 22 years old. I'd never been to California, let alone staying in hotels, taking on the world out there getting speeding tickets. If you don't take an empathetic approach, car dealerships aren't going to want to see you. And that's as true today as it was in 1988. But if car dealers aren't healthy, figure out a way to make them healthy.
Welcome to the Ride and Style Podcast, your turbocharged pit stop for automotive restyling. Buckle up with Jesse and Josh.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of the Ride and Style Podcast. This is episode 24 already, and we have Bill North of Champion Auto Systems. Bill, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Great. Nice to see both of you guys.
Bill, where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm a long way from home. I flew to Europe this morning. I am in the Netherlands, also known as Holland.
So you're looking, are you just doing some windmill activity or what?
Yeah, sunroofs entirely. Yeah, I was at Wabasto today, the original home of the Hollandia 700. So we still purchase a lot of components from Wabasto. So I was there at their
Uh-huh.
headquarters in Holland, and another supplier in Holland tomorrow. Then I'm driving down through Germany into Italy for another meeting on Monday, and I'll be home on Wednesday.
Sounds like an international man of mystery.
Yeah.
Good
You guys
deal.
don't know this. I had tomorrow. I'm going to see Christina and Raphael in Dusseldorf.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I let her know I was driving through
Nice.
Germany, so she said, "Let's get together. We're going to have dinner." So shout out to Christina George. Get to see her
She'll be
in
so
Germany
excited to
tomorrow.
talk to somebody in English.
She will. Me too. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, let's go back to the beginning and do a little history lesson first. So, tell us how you got started in the automotive industry and what made you do that. What was the driving force to get you going in this line of work?
Yeah, definitely born into it. My dad owned a body shop. Mom's a veterinarian. Dad's a body shop owner, and I love dogs, but I really kind of was more pro business when it came to cars. So I grew up really bumping and painting, and just grew up with it, and went off to college, and my dad used to put sunroofs in his cars back in the early and mid '80s, which was very rare. So that's a quick review of how I A got started with cars and then B got exposed into sunroofs at a young age.
Wow. So what was it, what kind of sunroofs was he doing?
Yeah, so he wasn't installing them. He would buy for my dad. He would buy a new car every year, always either Lincoln or Cadillac, back and forth, old school. And ASC was very popular. And the first time I ever saw the name Wabasto was on a thing called a Starlight 2. Very dated. Do you remember Starlight 2s,
Oh
Josh?
yeah.
Do you?
Well, I
Okay.
remember the Starlights. I don't. I remember there were Starlight 4 and 5 and 6,
Five,
but
six,
Starlight
and
2 was
seven.
probably earlier.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dad. Yeah. So that was kind of those were the brands, and this is crazy how I wound up getting exposed to Wabasto. I had graduated from Central Michigan in '87, and all my friends were still at college. So I'm going up there every single weekend just because I had nothing to do and I hadn't found a job yet. And I ran into a professor at breakfast, and he said, "Hey, it's crazy running into you. A guy just reached out. looking for somebody in Oakland County that knows the car business. He works for a sunroof company. It's called Webasto or something. And he gave me his number on a piece of yellow paper because that's what we did in the 80s. There's no, text me his email or hit me
Yeah.
up his LinkedIn. So I get this yellow piece of paper and it said Mike Thibodeau. So I called Mike Thibodeau. Hey, I'm a friend of Dr. Featheringham's. I had class with him. Mike said, "Yeah, let's have an interview," and that's how it got started because I was out at breakfast that morning with a college, ran into a college professor randomly.
And so how old were you when you started? 22, 23 at Wobasto?
I was 22. Yep, I was
Wow.
22. Yep,
And
1988,
what was your
22.
first, what was that, a sales role or what was that?
Yep, I got thrown right into sales. I got a company credit card, a Pontiac Grand Prix with a Starlight 4 in it, and I had the western half of the United States, which happened to include
Oh,
Ohio. Because you
oh,
divide it in half. Yeah, so that's where I
yeah.
first. Yeah, so it's 1988. Go set up sunroof dealers. Wabasto was literally number 5 in a 5 company race, and I had a blast. And when you're number 5 out of 5, you got nowhere to go but up, and to kind of be a hero. But I fell in love with just the aspects of restyling. From there's the installer side, there's the owner side. You can't forget about the all important car dealer side because they're the ones that are spending money with the restylers. You got to treat all those sides like number ones, because if you're lacking in any of them, you're not going to prevail. But it was just such a sweet spot to fall into it in the late 80s, and grow. And we became number 4 and then up to number 3. And then there was an acquisition where Webasto bought Hollandia, and after a few years we got up to number 1. But yeah, that's how it started in 88.
So who, I want to know, who was your first restyling shop that you either walked in or you sold to that you remember vividly, like, wow, because I mean your dad owned a body shop. It wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
restyling shop. It's a totally different
Right.
world. Do you remember what your first
Yeah.
restyling shop was?
Yeah. I went out to California with Mike Thibodeau, and I guess my first live one was. Do you remember Jack Cole, Josh? Cole Brothers Auto
Yeah.
Restyling in
Yeah.
Nashville. So there
Nashville.
I am. I'm
Yeah.
still in Nashville. So I'm 22. I fly in to Nashville because Jack Cole is a real up and comer with power sunroofs. He's not carrying Webasto yet. So, and back then, the opening order was $20,000, and you had to pay for a 1 week training, and I think it was $2,000 in 1988 money. That it was a commitment, So it
Yeah.
was kind of formal, to the training and the large opening order. So Jack buys in. Jack Cole likes what he sees. He's going to bring me on as his number 3 supplier, and it gets real weird. Where are you going next, Bill? In his Nashville accent, and I say I'm going to um, Knoxville. He said I'll come with you. So we go to Knoxville and we go see Competitors Auto Trim. Where are you going next, Bill? And I'm going to Grant's Auto Trim in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And he's just along for the ride. But my flight is out of Knoxville. So he figures out how to get a ride back to Nashville. But we're having such a good time telling stories, driving around, drinking beer, that he joined me for my next, second, and third sales calls. And it helped me a lot because, at the time I'm 22. I think Jack was 30.
Yeah.
And so walking in with a owner of a shop helped me to also put a deal together with Grant's Auto Trim in Chattanooga and Competitor Auto Trim in Knoxville. And
Hmm.
but yeah, that was one of the very first ones. And the fact that Jack decided just to jump in my car and drive along, because why not? We're having fun.
Well,
Shout
he
out to
had never
Jack
rode
Cole
in a nice car like a Grand Prix either. So.
with a Starlight 4. Thing had red wheels on it. Man, it was good at getting tickets. Me me 22 in a red car with red wheels and a Starlight 4, taking on the world out there getting speeding tickets
Oh my
and selling
gosh.
sunroofs.
So that was night.
Yeah.
So that was 1988. Is that when it was?
Yeah. Yep. And I would have met Ken
Okay.
Morris in 88 or 89,
Yeah.
your original
Yeah.
partner.
We probably started sunroofs right around 89, 90, maybe 90, 91, something like that. Right around that. And we went right into Wabasto. So
Yeah. Yeah. You were a
I
sweet
think we did
spot for,
a little bit of skylight maybe, but
yep. Skylight,
um,
which was Cars and Concepts. And yeah,
yeah,
there were a lot of options back then. It
yeah,
kept us on our
yeah.
toes because you could switch. You were selling it as an Auto Editions power sunroof, and I couldn't get too darn sure of myself. Or you could switch brands, and so it was competitive, but it was fun and it was profitable for many of us, yourself included. Auto Editions did great with sunroofs,
So
still do to this day.
did yeah, we still do them. What about so when did you become like the national sales manager and you had a whole team? What year would that have
Yeah,
roughly
so
been?
yeah,
Early
I
90s?
was yeah, in 94 I was promoted to national sales manager, which is kind of a miracle. I mean, putting me out there with a red car and a company credit card at 22 years old. I'd never been to California, let alone staying in hotels. And the big difference is there was no, the thing about the 80s, this didn't exist. The
Yeah,
cell
no
phone
cell phones.
cameras. We stopped and talked on payphones, but somehow I we grew, and I was so I was promoted to national sales manager in 94, and we kept growing from there.
Yeah.
Bill,
Go ahead,
what would
Jesse.
you tell your younger self just starting out? Now that you know what you now know, what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah, if you were jumping the passenger side of that red Grand Prix, what would you tell 22-year-old Bill North?
I mean, the easy button would be to just buy Apple and Nvidia stock and don't work so damn hard. Because I there was no substitute for just hard work. Um, and I took it naturally to listen effectively. Restylers had choices; they didn't need to use my sunroof. Um, so really care about who you're doing business with, which came naturally to me. The way that my dad operated in his body shop. But I think maybe slow down, don't get so many speeding tickets. I would tell myself, and but I'm almost so content that I was a bit naive, and that was good because I didn't know
Mm.
it all. I had to discover it, and I learned by trial and error, one customer at a time. And so I guess I'm kind of glad it played out like it is because I don't think I could work that hard today like I used to. Just you got to work differently, smarter.
Yeah. You can get as much done in a few emails and a phone calls than you could in 4 days on the road back then.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what was the what was the livelihood? I mean, you can kind of speak to it because you were right in the middle of it. And I like to get people's vantage point. A lot of times we talk about restyling. The business has always changed. I feel like there's sometimes people refer to them as the golden years. However, I mean, it's just as thriving today. Just depends on the aspects. But there are some products that are, you know, that were really crazy ridiculous. What was it about sunroofs that really took off in the late mid to 80s through the 90s
Hmm.
and still kept them alive 30 years later?
Yeah. Great question. I think of that a lot because we're not going back to where it was, and some of the key difference, the take rates for some of the factory sunroofs were 10%, if not less. So being able to offer a sunroof on a vehicle that didn't even have one at the factory was a heck of a value proposition. And we
So
were
when you say
also
that, let me just back you up for a second. So 10% of each vehicle or 10% of their whole vehicle lineup?
uh, 10% of many models offered the sunroof. So,
Okay.
like sedan DeVille's had a 8 to 9% take rate for the factory sunroof option. So my target was
Wow.
91, 92% of the sedan DeVille's. Whereas you look at Cadillac today and the take rate is 98, if not 99%.
Yeah.
So that was fortuitous in just that the OEM option was behind and the aftermarket was there to fill that gap.
Mm.
So, I stay mindful of it because, it's so easy for a car dealership to have a sunroof show up at their dealership installed compared
Yeah.
to the way we are. So, today there has to be a shortage or some real good trim level economics that will encourage the car dealership to add a sunroof in for stock. And so those opportunities are not as common. So when we get them, we got to hit them really hard. And I'm really drilling into right now the Ford Ranger. There's a temporary shortage on the factory sunroof on the Ford Ranger for 2024 on the new one, and they'll have it figured out within 3 months. So we need to hunt really hard on Rangers because this opportunity will pass, and then they can check a box and have their sunroof show up. And so a big part of it is more retail business where we're selling sunroof installations to vehicle owners, vehicles that are titled. We still want the wholesale business, but we sure better not be relying on it exclusively today.
What's one of the toughest challenges you faced in the industry, and how'd you overcome it? And I'm talking not just today, but throughout your whole career. What's some of the tougher challenges or the toughest challenge?
Yeah, you know, being entirely reliant on car dealerships, they sneeze, we catch a cold. If their inventory is too light, come back when there's inventory in 6 months, and we need to fill a shop this day, this week. Uh, then cars aren't selling. Walking in there with a iPad or a brochure or a nice pitch or a shiny piece of paper, and the car dealership has got 4 deals on the board, and we're 21 days into the month. Those are some serious headwinds, and as charming and as compelling as you are, how can we fix a bad month? So I think really just kind of always position yourself as the solution to their problems. Don't ignore what their problems are. Be the key to either adding gross into car dealers, which dealers love, or helping them create some unique trim levels, some unique packages that can help them sell more cars. Um, if you don't take an empathetic approach, car dealerships aren't going to want to see you. And that's as true today as it was in 1988. Um, just the models are different, but if car dealers aren't healthy, figure out a way to make them healthy.
Yeah. I mean, and Jesse, this is the guy that's been calling on car dealers for many a year. So, and he goes around with the reps and all over the country. He can tell you the difference between East Coast, West Coast, South, North, whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
tell us. I mean, obviously, you stepped away from Webasto for a while, and
Yep.
then this whole transition with Champion. So, tell us how that all came about, as much as you can, without breaking too many secrets. Or if you want to just
No,
break them
it's
all,
wide
that's
open.
fine too. Go ahead.
No, it's
Tell us how
completely,
this all came
yeah.
out, because at one point you were out of the industry for a little bit.
Yeah. So, I worked for Catskin for 8.5 years. Loved Catskin. Great, leather and sunroofs did and do get along. They're complementary. So I had 8+ good years at Catskin. I get this amazing offer to go to work for a software company called Reputation.com, where I'm running the large dealer group and their Google reviews. and their reputation management, how they're responding to reviews. Uh, Nice job, because we reputation already had a lot of we were managing the surveys for GM, Ford, Toyota. So we had the OEM side, the large dealer group side, and man, it was cool, and it was growing, and I'm selling SaaS, software as a service. Okay, completely new to me. I'm looking for the bill of material and the installation time. So I worked there for over a year. Never really did figure out how it works. The software didn't need to, because I was on the front end side. But during this, I just had John Prosser and I had a heart to heart about what was happening to sunroofs, and it was my new love that had a lot of shine on it in software, with kind of an unlimited income and stock, but sunroofs were going to die if John and I didn't make this happen. And it was just going back to the first love that made us jump and make the acquisition with Wabasto. With their full support, I couldn't do it without them. To this day, that's why I'm here. They make all of our glass, they all their technology. They didn't say take it and good luck. They said, here's the secret sauce. And I knew a lot of it, but I know even more now, because they're compelled that I'm successful. I'll say that Wabasto has an interest in me staying a customer for them and hitting some volume targets. So yeah, that's just a quick summary on how I went from sunroofs to leather to software back to sunroofs. Here I am.
Yeah. So we can officially say Champion Automotive Systems makes power sunroofs.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've made over our serial numbers. You can go out in your shop and look and read yours. Each unit has a serial number. We've crossed the 1,500 line. So
Nice.
when you want to know how happy John or I are, see how big those last four digits are on our serial number. This is kind of cool. This was we didn't want to start our serial numbers at zero, so we started with 1776. So when you read a Champion Auto Systems serial number, 17760, and right now I'm at 1589. And that was
There you
actually
go.
that. Frankly, the 1776 was Tim Eldridge's idea, our general manager. I heard it, fell in love with it, booked it, and yeah, I'm very proud of the American aspect of the H700s. And yeah, we're at we'll cross the 1,600 line by the end of this week,
Bill, tell us
which
more
is
about
I
Champion.
mean,
Tell us about Champion. Tell
yeah,
us what makes you guys different. What sets you apart. Like, give us some more details about it. It's okay to sell
yeah.
yourself a little bit here in this company. We want to hear it.
Yeah, cool. So very focused on restylers. We are as good as I think everything we manufacture. Half of the equation is the product. The other half is who's putting it in. Before Champion Auto Systems added sunroofs, we were Champion Seat Systems. So we do a lot with heated seats. Hey, I've got a brochure. Um, Different switch options: Toyota switches, rotary switches, massage. So seat comfort and sunroofs are complementary, and it's been a good part of our business. We've got some loyal customers because you can buy seat heaters from a lot of places. So we try to stay competitive. We try to be easy to work with as far as including seat heaters and massage systems with your sunroofs. And but those are our two food groups: seat comfort and sunroofs. That's enough. It really is enough. There's other things we look at, we can do, but that's going to be our focus moving forward is making great power sunroofs and complementary seat comfort, and listening to what our restylers say. If our restylers are profitable, they'll buy more from us. If our quality is good for them, they'll stay with us. So those are our KPIs, is really just supporting restylers.
Are you so let's talk a little bit about the future. Do you want to talk about anything coming down the pipeline, or is that going to be a surprise coming to SEMA? You're going to be at SEMA this year, right?
Yep. We're exhibiting at SEMA, and we're gonna have. I mean, the big
We can
thing,
just you
the
can
power
just if you can
spoiler.
feed you can just a little bit of
Yeah.
just a little taste.
Yep. Yeah. So come see us in the West Hall by the Pro Cup Challenge 15521, and you're gonna see different versions of sunroofs that you're gonna want to buy and install and make a lot of money on. And I mean,
Ooh,
but our bread and butter is the H700s. I mean, the fact that I've only built
yeah.
1600 since November, when I mean, the Dutch reminded me today how we always built and sold way over 100,000 annually. Okay, so I can't
Yeah,
take my eye off that prize.
yeah,
You know that the H700 needs resuscitation, and that'll stay a focus. But what else can complement the offering? When what's new? And so yeah, we've got power spoilers that you can put in too. We've got something in the larger variety. We've got some spins on seat comfort, and we've got something in the world of power sunshades. But the first thing I want you to think of Champion as is the home of the H700.
got it. Definitely look forward to being at SEMA. Um, I want you to tell a couple stories to Jesse. First of all, I love, and I know you don't maybe like talking about. I love talking about the robots. It's the coolest thing ever. Talk about
Oh,
how you got these robots from across the pond to Minnesota. I mean, I know I see him wiping his face, like all the struggles of the robots, but it is really cool how the sunroofs are
yeah.
made.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I made a YouTube video on it. So it's you go to the Champion homepage, you'll see a video of these. They're ABB robots. They're robotic welders, and there's three of them, and they make the H700 frames, and they're just finicky. They're old. They're European, and any bump in the road, we found it with sensors and connectors and chillers to keep it cool, and welding tips and C tangs and X tangs and things I didn't know existed. I needed to learn together with a really amazing team, and I had to lean really heavily back on Wabasto to hey, we got these robots here, and they're weird. I brought people in from Italy to literally to kind of whisper into the robot's ear to make it work. And I'll be back there on Monday because I still buy steel from them. So it's
Mm.
the original robots and the original steel. How hard should it be? It shouldn't be hard, but it's damn hard. I mean, the identical sheet metal and the identical robots, and it's all programmed. But they went on an ocean container. They lost part of their brain, and you name it. But it's I mean, it shouldn't be too easy. I reminded myself of regularly. It wasn't easy. I know we made it through the hard days, and when you open up a box and you see a black e-coated welded piece of steel that a glass panel, you just see a frame. I
Yeah.
see 42 parts that came from three different suppliers. They got welded by 15-year-old robots, and it all came together. But yeah, the hardest days are behind us,
Wow.
thankfully. But I think I'll always have robot nightmares. Damn those things.
Mr. Roboto.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I mean, I gotta say, Jesse, sunroofs have been around for a long time, and if it wasn't for Bill and John to really bring back, what Wabasto had made and start making the H700, I don't know how long the sunroof business would have stayed. We're still doing them. We're still doing repairs. We're still known as a sunroof shop. A lot of restylers are. Some got out of it because they didn't know what the future was. If they would have been patient, they could have hung in there. It's hard to cut that off and turn it back on. But if they would have just been patient, but kudos to these guys for going through all these uphill battles. I don't know if they actually knew how hard it was going to be. I don't know if they would have actually done it. But now that they're on the other side, they can look back and say, "Wow, we made it to the new
Yeah.
world, and we
Yeah.
now we can put our flag in the land."
Yeah. I know. But I Poulson, I learned a word from you called edify, And that's why you and I have always been so simpatico. Is for as much compliment as you can share about me, I have it about you. You know, edifying what you've done. I remember talking to you about getting involved with SEMA, with Pro. I mean, this is amazing that people look at Josh. He's Mr. Pro. He's Man of the Year, all that. But hey, Josh, I'm in Pro, and I remember I said, and you said, like, why should I? What's in it? I just said, Josh, I think you'll be good for the industry. And I thought about that when I thought about that was so wrong to say you were going to be good for the industry, because anything short of great would be underselling it. So when I said you'd be good for the
No,
industry,
you did it for a lot longer than me. Talk about that
well,
for a
yeah,
minute. How many stints on? How many years did you do SEMA? How many years were overall total did you do SEMA Pro? I know you just came off a 6-year stint,
yeah.
but you
So
had
just
another
12.
6 years before that, right?
Yeah, I've got a
Just
12-year
12.
sentence. Yeah, two 12-year
Yeah, just
sentences, terms.
just a.
All good. Yeah, all good. I mean, you get it. You get out what you put into it. But God, I mean, it reminds me
Yeah.
of I mean, as many things as Josh and I have done with SEMA, for SEMA, around SEMA, in the LRPs and the Pro Cup challenges. And I got one thing that my favorite Josh Poulson moment, and wasn't it an
Oh no.
LRP in Vegas, Josh? You know where I'm going?
Are you talking about the cabanas?
Yes,
Are you
the
talking about that
cabana.
story?
So
Oh yeah, that was yeah. We
we,
were staying at the Resorts World for an LRP.
yeah,
All the SEMA, all the councils and networks, all of them came out. They flew everybody out. So like what, 100
yep,
people?
people,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was in July, so it's in Vegas, and it was literally like 105 degrees. So upper Midwest guys, Josh and I, we're smart. We come in a day early. We can go to the pool, drink beer. So we're doing that. It's just, my goodness, is like we cannot get out of the sun. We're at the
So
pool.
hot.
It's high noon. So I say, Josh, look at those cabanas over there. So we work our way over, and mind you, the pool beers that day are $8 a piece. But we keep them coming, because we were prepping for the next day's meeting. Keep them coming, keep them coming. So we go into the cabana, and there's like 10, 15 cabanas, and there's not one person in one cabana on one couch or anything. So we're just kind of sliding underneath it. Get like, wow, some welcome shade. They come over and they say these are $250 like an hour. Okay, so we're both pretty convincing, and Josh and I say, yeah, I see, we're with SEMA, we're nobody's using these cabanas, and we'll keep tipping you, and we're with SEMA, and we've got like 40 rooms that we're throwing all this big wheel stuff out there. Like, could you let us just use it for an hour, because it's super hot, we might die, look how white we are in like out here in this hot. And they're like, radios are involved, and they're calling around, like, so it gets up to SEMA staff that Bill and Josh are trying to get SEMA to pay for $250 an hour cabanas. We're trying to MacGyver some deal. Didn't that kind of go flip around on us, Josh?
Well, one thing that Bill forgot to tell you, Jesse, is so he tells the lady, and so this lady, this manager has to go get a manager, has to go get a manager, has to go get a manager, right? Finally, this lady comes over and goes, "So what do you guys want?" We're like, "We just want to borrow. We just want to use that cabana. We have like 100 rooms here. We're having a
Right,
conference here. Can you
right.
just give us the cabana for an hour or two? We got some friends
Just some
coming."
shade.
And they're like,
Get
"Well,
out of
we'll
this
check."
dreadful sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, let me make a couple phone calls. Who can I tell her?" And Bill goes, "Well, my name's Josh Poulson." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, geez, great." So then,
Right.
so we bottom line, we don't end up getting the cabana. She comes back, apologizes. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. So later on that night at the gala,
Well, wait a minute.
I go
Time
up
out, though.
talk to.
Time out. Wait. Didn't she made us an offer, like $125 an
Oh yeah,
hour?
yeah.
And we're
She's
and
like, "I'll
so
meet you halfway" or something. After
yeah,
we just spent $100 in beer, but
yeah,
she's like, "You want $100 to
yeah.
live? You gotta."
Right. So we let it go. We let it go. And then, do you remember, then it got but there's a couple umbrellas out by the pool. So we're
Oh yeah.
like, this is funny, I'm in the sun. So we're underneath the sun, just trying to stop from cooking, and the winds kicked up. and they come over, and Josh and I are underneath these umbrellas, just trying to shield ourselves from the sun, and they close the umbrellas because they're dangerous, because of the
because they don't want them to
winds.
fly out. Yeah, I'm like, we're scorching, and they're like, oh, no problem, and they just close it. Why? Right while we're trying to hide, like the guy just comes over, acts as if we're not even around, and just closes
Right.
it.
For your safety, I'm going to close it. Yeah. So then, okay.
Yeah.
So then later that night, go ahead.
Yeah, so a couple board members, you know, I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, so what'd you do today? I was like, oh, just hanging out by the pool. Like, yeah, we heard. I was like, well, how'd you hear? Like, they called us to see if we would buy your cabana, and put that on
Yeah.
SEMA's tab. I said, we never asked. First of all, it wasn't me, it was Bill, but we were both there, so I'll take the brunt too. But I said, we never asked. We just asked if we could get it complimentary. We never asked you guys to pay for it. So
Right.
I was like, great. I got this reputation that I'm trying to get everything on SEMA's dime, which I'm fine with, by the way.
Ah, good
So
stuff. That was a quality
after a combined 24 years of volunteering here, we can't even
Yes.
have a cabana for an hour.
Not quite.
Anyway,
That's
good
25 and
good
up.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. This guy's had beer all over the world. Unbelievable. I can't even hang with him. So Jesse always likes to ask where the future's going. So Bill's the best one to ask
Yeah.
this. Ask him that
And
question.
where's the aftermarket automotive industry? How's it changing? What do you think we should be looking for? If you had a crystal ball, what would you say?
Well, we can be sure that anything can end. We can look at simulated convertibles. We can look at ground effects kits. I'm in frankly, sunroofs. We've got to be on our toes from a quality of manufacturing perspective and a quality of installation perspective. So I, I, we're building a good foundation, and we have to be extremely targeted. We can't sell sunroofs as universal and for everything. We've really got to drill into. I mean, I just saw the new 24 Toyota Cruiser. Uh,
Yeah.
Shout out to AutoSound in Boston, Massachusetts. They put a 740 in it, and it's
Oh yeah.
great. Uh, what's that?
We're doing one. We're doing one next week. Not a sunroof. We're doing a
Oh, cool.
leather, and they're. But I'm going to talk to him about a sunroof.
Oh yeah, I'll send you the picture. The sheet metal, the ribs are extremely tall and scary, and yet there's a break in the sheet metal where the 740 glass and ring rest perfectly. But I guess back to your question, Jesse. Um, Keep targeted. Keep. We really used to sell these things generically and universally, and that's not going to work in 25 and up. Pick. Figure out where you're good and try to repeat the heck out of it. Find really good solutions where I would drive this Land Cruiser with this sunroof in it, or this leather, or this paint protection film. Find where you really make a good value proposition from your dealer perspectives, and then really, really work on that messaging to repeat where we've got great applications, and that's not gonna fade. That's going to become more acute in the coming years as we've got to be very application driven, and particularly in power sunroofs.
Go ahead,
Yeah, I was just
Jesse.
going to say, what do you look forward to the most right now? Like, what excites you? What's coming down the pike for you guys in terms of projects or opportunities? What gets you all charged up right now?
Mm-hmm. Um, I love repeat orders. I love the fact, and we've been kind of spoon feeding a lot of folks. So I love the fact that, I mean, Josh is on his third round of 700s at Auto Editions, and because that shows that we're having success when we get repeat, and and we're kind of, when people are trying to order 24 or 12, we say, how about 5 or 10, as we get back into a higher volume production. So I'm just excited about the day that when a restyler calls and orders sunroofs, that they ship that very day without exception. Not yeah, we got this part, we got that part. Make it easy on them. Keeping inventory, order today, ship today. It's the way it used to be. It's the way it needs to be for the future. There's too many things for restylers to do without relying on something that's not reliable. So just having a really stable supply chain and production capacity, and we're very close to being there, but I must recognize we're not as good as we're going to get.
Awesome. What do you think? I mean, obviously, you guys will grow and you'll have more capacity as things get a little smoother and things like that. But you see that you see light at the end of the tunnel where you're going to have inventory on the shelf and be able to ship. That's your goal, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, part of my conversation with Wabasto today, they buy the glass for me 2,500 pieces at a time. So I have to make this sizable, and we're getting there, and my goal is keep everybody that's in the sunroof industry still in the industry. The worst is behind us. Tap a few people that gave up on them, get them back into the business, and really capitalize on a lot of international things. I'm already exporting sunroofs to South Africa, Japan. Got something cooking in Turkey. I've got Central American opportunities. So I've got to be more global in exporting from the U.S. and also exporting our top slider. But yeah, those are the things that are exciting me. Just maximizing what I can do in A, the United States, and then B, rest of the world, because the product, it's always been global, and making sure that I've got the visibility for international folks.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, again, kudos to you guys for, and I know the hard work and the late nights and the probably the stressful phone calls when people are going, when am I going to get sunroofs? And I mean, how many times do you go, we're working as best we can, we're trying, we're get it, I mean,
Yeah.
but just to get past that and to and now the hard work and diligence of get the ball rolling again. But I can't imagine two better people with you being the head of it, you and Johnny boy, rolling
Hmm.
this down the river. So thanks for doing that for the industry, really.
For sure. Yeah, we've got a great team, and our doors are wide open. I want people to come to Minnesota and watch H700 being born. In some cases, I even want people turning wrenches. Probably not you, Josh, but yeah, you could. You're good
No,
with film. I
definitely
just
not
don't know
me.
if I'd trust you with a anything
I'm,
pneumatic.
I'm
But
gonna ride that robot.
yeah, you can write. Yeah, go see the damn robots. They're not robots. They're damn robots. But no, not every manufacturer wants you to come and see how they build the product, but I want you to see it because I know it's the same as what we did from Europe. And so restylers, come and check out how an H700 is born, because I'm proud of it, and you can kind of bottle some of that up and sell it in your own local markets, because you can kind of capture the story. This came from the world's largest supplier of factory sunroofs, and they branched off into the aftermarket. So you have a second chance to put sunroofs in vehicles that have already left the car plants. And I don't know, I just sunroofs make people happy, and damn it, I think let's make people happy and make a little bit of money along the way.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Awesome. Well, I'll let Jesse ask his last question, but we appreciate you being on
That
for
was well
sure.
said, Bill. How do people get a hold of you, or how do they find out more about Champion Auto Systems? Where do you want them to go, or how do they reach out if they would have questions?
Absolutely. Yeah, championautosystems.com is the way. You can also find us at it's easier to navigate, heatedseats.com. You can hit us up directly. Uh, we're on Facebook. We're not real active in Instagram because I'm old. But yeah, I mean, socially, we're very focused. We're not as strong socially as we're going to be, But Champion Auto Systems allows you to place orders, track orders, your dealer locator. Also, all of our technical information is password protected in the dealer portal. So there's a lot of information on applications and technical guides. So yeah, that would be the best through our website. You guys
Awesome.
want to see a little bit of
Well, thanks
Holland?
again for. Yeah. So it's what, 8 o'clock over there right now? 8, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, it's 8:52. Yeah. So I don't know
9 o'clock in
the cars are
Holland.
smaller.
This is our first international live podcast. I love it.
Let's go into the bar. Did you notice I was drinking Coca-Cola up until now?
Oh,
All
well.
right, so,
Look at you. Better than me.
but everything is just so old and
Oh, yeah.
Ellis.
Yeah,
Say hi to America.
That's no Michigan bar, I tell you that right now. Say hi to America. We're on a podcast.
Brooklyn, New York. These guys are from Washington and Ohio.
Right, Mike.
Hello.
And then here's the most important part.
The beer. There they are.
This
the
is Josh and
taps.
Jesse.
Oh,
Great.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, take care of those windmills, Bill. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. It's been fun.
And there you have it, another high-octane episode of the Ride and Style podcast. Revved up and ready to go. Your hosts, Jesse Stoddard and Josh Poulson, shifted your automotive game into overdrive. If you're hungry for more insights, trends, and game-changing interviews from the automotive restyling universe, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a glowing review. We'd also love for you to share this podcast with your gearheads, installers, and auto lovers network. Because remember, knowledge is power, but shared knowledge turbocharges the whole industry. For more expert resources to supercharge your business, cruise on over to AutoStyleMarketing.com, your one-stop shop for everything automotive marketing. Until next time, keep those wheels spinning and your passion ignited. Thank you for riding in style with us. See you on the next lap.